Stay a while and listen.
Good afternoon, my Diablo 2 brethren. After running into Declone the other day, I wanted to take a moment to actually formally introduce you to Darth Skellies, who is my primary player. This is my Magic Find character. It is also my character that I use for any assistance and rushing, all that good stuff. So it's my primary build. It is the first character I created when D2R was first released. It is reminiscent of the character that I played the most throughout the years. Necromancer has always been my favorite, specifically the Summonmancer. So I wanted to show you what I'm working with here. And I'll talk about my routine that I go through. I know as far as Magic Find goes, everyone's got their own little things that they do. So many people like to grab sorceresses, they like to grab Hammerdins, and deck out in certain gear, and then the goal is just boom, 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 boom. How fast can we go through and do this? And I can see the benefit in that. You want to churn out as much possible content as possible, get as many hits as possible. You're looking for those high runes. You want to ultimately kill as many mobs as possible. I don't really play like that. I like to play to have fun. So every single run that I start, when I'm just farming, so if I'm not actually actively helping someone or doing something specific, I always start in Act 5 rather than running out into the Bloodmoor or something. I'm getting free summons from Pindle here. Usually knock this thing about 10 times just to get started. Double tap over here to Pindle. Do my thing. That's that. I pick up every set of yellow boots that I get, regardless of what they are. Looking for those tri-res boots. It's not often that Pindle gives me anything. I know people like to do Pindle runs. I've had no luck with Pindle runs ever. Ever. Boots were dual res, but nothing special. So after I do Pindle and get my summons, I take the little bit of guys that I have. We run down into Halls of Pain, and since I know the maps, just pop on over here. And we take on Neelathok with the hope of maybe finding a key. And I've found plenty of keys. But the other nice thing about doing Neelathok is I get all of his minions. And that's usually how I fill up my army. Next up, I like to take on Bale. Positioning is a pain in the ass sometimes. Once I get in there, I do crepify him so that he doesn't jump away. And then with good positioning, my merc just takes him out, along with everybody else. Only reason I run Bale is for the essences and for the Bale Grand Charm. That's what I'm on the lookout every time I run Bale. I'm not really interested in other things. Those are the things that have the most value to me for my day-to-day play. And you saw he teleported away because I wasn't paying attention. And I was monologuing. Monarch, I just checked that for Jmod, that's all I do. Never actually found a Jmod. And that continues. Next on the kill list is Big D. Like to get myself positioned right in the center, and then he just pops right underneath my Decrepify. And he dies. Usually just about instantly. Dead. Nothing that I want there. Quick little pit stop over to Trav. Haven't had a ton of luck in Trav lately, but it's quick. I usually just do Trav when it is Terror Zone, um, just for the sake of going through things quickly. Depending on how I'm feeling, I do Durance. I don't like to do Durance because the maps are so big and the exploding dolls are really annoying. So not always the safest thing to do when there's the undead dolls. They get you, or if you happen to get caught into stun lock from the Erdars or their Maulers, whatever they're called. But the big reason that I don't do Durance is the map is just so massive, and I can never find level 3. Which is a shame because I need Mephisto the most because of those yellow essences. I ended up having to trade a bunch of other stuff away to get yellow essences for tokens. Okay, so that's my primary magic find run that I do. Um, Usually just burn through the 3 major bosses in Neothok. That's typically what I'll do for looking for gear. If I'm just playing for the sake of playing, I do go through and I do Summoner, I do Countess, and I do Duriel and Endariel as well. Kind of depends on what I'm feeling like for the day. Additionally, sometimes I will skip Durance altogether because the maps are so big and it's just not very time friendly for me. Um, so let's look at what I'm actually using here as far as gear. I used to use Arm of King Leoric, and then ultimately I found a um, couple of runes, and I made myself a Heart of the Oak. So this here was manufactured myself. I did create this one. The only thing on this character that I did not earn myself in some capacity was the Enigma. This was gifted to me by someone else. So thank you for that. Um, Wearing my Shaco with the Topaz. Mara's I found very early in D2R. I was very happy about that. 29 all res. It's a great one. Always use the homunculus. I prefer this over the spirit just because I don't want to pump stats into strength for the spirit, and I don't have any problems with resistances for the most part. So this is always just textbook summoner for me. So that's what I use. Chance cards, and then dual nagel rings, and upped gold wrap is what I use, and 45 war traps. And then the key to this particular character here is lots of small charms. So almost exclusively in the magic find small charm, as well as Geeds. So all things said and done, we are looking at 444% magic find on a character that can kill anything in the game except for Uber Bale. So when I fought Uber Bale, I do have to swap out some stuff. Namely, it's some Merc gear, but I also keep a stash of all of these res charms. So I got a bunch of lightning res to deal with Mephisto and Conviction. I don't wear my Magic Find gear if I'm doing the Ubers with them. That would just be foolish in the first place. I do swap out for Marowaks, and I swap out for Arax, and then I got my BK and my Soj that I use as well. So believe it or not, this is my Uber farmer. I don't run the Ubers per se, but I do all the mini bosses with him for sure. I'm saving up my organ sets. I'm going to do those with my Smiter and my Fury Druid. But I have all this stuff to take care of the easy stuff. As far as getting the organs, very easy for me to burn through with this character with no effort whatsoever. So a full army takes them all down without any trouble. Um, and that's just what I use there. Um, so That's a little bit about my routine and what I'm using here. As far as end game gear, I don't have any gear swaps really other than the Marowaks and the Iraqs and the rings. At this point, I barely even wear those because I only put those on if I'm actually fighting the Ubers. If you recall from prior video, I fought Diablo clone with this exact gear, didn't swap anything out, even had my Merc die while using Obedience. I turned it off and put the insight back on just because I needed it for raising my minions beforehand. So even without a decked out Merc, did just fine. My Merc is nothing special. He's wearing duress armor, so it's not like I have fortitude. I don't have a high end um, weapon like a giant thresher and some other thing. I mean, I don't need conviction or anything like that, but insight works just fine. But the obedience is a good +1. And then I got myself a modded out G face here. So he also uses the might aura for my skeletons. But this guy basically does not die either, so he stands his ground against everybody except for Diablo's Hellfire. That's the only thing that really kills him. That is a look into what I got. So the rest of my stats, if you want to look at them, you can see lots of vitality. That's where all my points are. I don't know what the base points are into strength at this point. I haven't respec'd in a long time. Truth be told, I just don't need to. So the skill tree is built out perfectly. No excess, no bloat, no incorrect skills or anything. So bunch of 1-point wonders. That's it. I didn't even max out corpse explosion. I know a lot of people like to do that because of the radius. Personally, it just wasn't important to me. I like to I like to go with revives. I know people hate revives because they are timed and you can't get them all the time. Truthfully, I like having the swarm of people around me, so I am good to go on that front. So, anyways, that is an intro to Darth Skellies. If you ever have any questions about what he can and cannot do, or what I'm looking forward to doing with him, by all means, you can reach out. My next biggest goal for this here is to get a full game of 8 summoners, see if we can melt some GPUs. But that'll be further down the line once I have more subscribers. Obviously, there's not enough people watching concurrently to ever coordinate such an endeavor. But at some point, we will get a game full of 8 summoners, hundreds of skeletons out there, and we'll do something fun like take on the mini Uber bosses or the regular Ubers or something, whimsical like that. Until that time, I'll see you again sometime. And Taro Dune and hail to you, champion. Bye bye.